Well, the police rang us and told us that he had passed away. I was out with the dog within the last couple of nights, and he came into my mind. And you know, it was like the Lord said to me that he was going to pass away, and I wasn't surprised. I really wasn't. Well, I think it's terrible that he passed away without repenting, without ever divulging quite a lot of his secrets. And he could have been so gracious to read up the problems that some people have that have never found their children, and we would know that he murdered them and that he would have known where he had dumped the bodies. So this man has passed off into eternity without ever considering where he's going to spend eternity, and I believe now if he hasn't repented he will be in hell. In August the 12th 1981, Jennifer went out on her bike. She was 9 years of age, and it's very hard sometimes to explain to people in this day and age what it was like in 1981. We lived in the country, there was no traffic, little boys and little girls cycled to each other's houses, so there was no danger involved, and the word paedophile was not even in our vocabulary, so it wasn't. So we had no problem letting our children go out on bikes. She went out on the bike, and she got about a mile and a half down the road, and obviously Robert Black snatched her off the road, threw the bike over the hedge, and took her away and sexually assaulted her and strangled her and threw her into the McKees Dam. When I got home from work, Pat was very concerned that she hadn't come home for tea, and she had set her watch, and she was always punctual, and she hadn't come home for tea, and she was very worried, and I wasn't, because nothing like that had ever happened. And Pat would have went out looking for her herself in her own car, but her car had a puncture. The car had a flat wheel overnight, so she couldn't go out. So we ate dinner, and then we went, we were starting to get concerned, then went looking for her. Well, initially it was quite a shock, because it was quite a battle to go to the first court case to see him. And the first thing that I can remember was that he looked so old, because photographs of when he was arrested, he was a young, strong man, and all of a sudden he was a wee, bent over elderly man. So he was, that was the first thing. And then another thing is that he just looked like any other human being. You could never imagine that he was capable of doing what he did. And fortunately, in them arraignments, he was sitting with his back to us, and we didn't always have to look at his face, which was really good. You know, if I had have continued to be angry, it would have destroyed my life and perhaps the lives of my children and wife. Resentment is one of the worst things that anybody can have in their life. I say it quite often, he stole the life and ruined the life of Jennifer, but he wasn't going to ruin our lives. Yes, if I hadn't have been given grace by God, and if I hadn't have known Jesus as my saviour, then I would have probably wanted to kill him. So he was never getting out of jail anyhow, but it'd be nice to know that's the end of him. But I take no pleasure in the fact that the man has died.